Hey guys, just a quick one for today while I'm working on some other videos. This is the IBM Model M, and this is one I picked up from Computer Reset, and it, like many Model M's, has this issue where these plastic rivets on the back start to break, especially on these older ones. This one's from the like one of the originals from 1984, I believe. Might have even come out of a terminal. So this one, a lot of people, what they will have you do is drill these out and replace them with bolts. That has a few benefits for sure, like you can disassemble and reassemble it more easily, and you can adjust some of the tension if you've got something out of whack. But there's a quick and easy fix for this, especially if only a few rivets are broken like this one. This one's bad enough that some of the keys, you see how it's starting to separate on this edge down here. Let me just double check you can see that. Yep. Okay. It's starting to separate down here, which means, yeah, a few of these rivets are pretty broken. But there's a way to get this back to where it's passable to use without too much of an issue, and that's with baking soda and super glue. So this is something that you've probably seen talked about in other aspects of vintage computers or models or any sorts of things, where you take baking soda and use it as an accelerant and kind of base for this for the super glue to adhere to more quickly, and then you can do it in layers and sand it down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill that little hole right there with baking soda and brush the excess off, and I'm going to take some super glue and drip it down in there. So I don't want any baking soda or super glue to end up running around inside there, but I'm just going to put a little bit there on top, make sure it hits the baking soda. I'm going to take a little more baking soda and dab it on top and just brush it on, and it's going to instantly harden. And you're probably going to want to do this a couple times. And now this isn't going to be like a super permanent fix. It may be, I mean, it's probably stronger than some of the rivets that are breaking, but it's not going to be something that's like crazy strong. But even just after that, you can see it's now, and I was putting pressure on this and squeezing it together as I was doing this, and so now it's nice and firm, and it's not going to come apart at all. So basically what I've done is I've used the baking soda and the little chunk of the original rivet that was in there, and I've created a new rivet basically. So I'm going to go ahead and do that on a couple of these other ones. I'm going to avoid a couple of these that are like this one here, where it's really, really deep. I don't know if you can see that from there, but just trust me. Pretty much the entire rivet is gone, and I don't really want to get I don't want to risk getting any super glue on the membrane that's in there, so I'm going to avoid that one for now. But I am going to check out some of these other ones. Like that one's a great candidate. It's got most of the rivet still there. So I'm just going to put some pressure. I'm going to dab a little bit of baking soda on, and the reason I'm doing this before adding glue is so that the glue itself doesn't go run down into the membrane. And so I'm going to add a little bit on top there, and that's just kind of seal itself in there. I'm going to get a little bit more of this baking soda, just sprinkle it on top. There you go, brand new rivet. That's all there is to it. So again, the downside of this is you're going to have to break all of these off if you want to later bolt mod or repair this keyboard. But I mean, it's essentially going to be just about as good as the original rivets were if you're careful about it. I've done this on a couple of them and I haven't had any issues. I actually forgot just now to put baking soda in there, but luckily I didn't put much super glue on, so it should be fine. See, I'm kind of filling the gap around there with the baking soda. Add the super glue on the top there. I'm just going to take this excess and brush it over. You can see it just hardens right away into a nice rivet. Now, one benefit of this is it's also going to be way flatter than doing the bolt mod, so you don't have these little nuts sticking out at the bottom. And so you can get it back into the case without having any lifted up spots, which is kind of nice. Ah, dang it. See, if you're doing this at 2 in the morning like I am, you always end up with of making stupid mistakes. So that'd be my other bit of advice. Maybe don't do that. Perfect. I'm just gonna feel some of these other ones along this area. I'll do that one because it looks nice and open. Just gonna push down real quick. There we go. Oh, didn't quite get it. And you don't want to use your fingers like that, because this stuff will, I mean, it'll obviously glue to your fingers. Who'd have thought, right? Crazy. I am actually going to try to do one of these because they're kind of loose. I think this one's actually about to break, but we're just going to fill it right up to the top there. Put a little bit down in there. Stick some over the top. And a drip. And some sweeping. And there you go. Nice and tight. So I'm going to go over the rest of the board and just kind of finish it up the same way, and I'll show you when I get it put back together. And here's the final product. I cleaned it up a little bit. I'm going to dust some of this out now that I've seen it, but I did put I had a spare board from a PS2 version, and so I threw that in there. I did make an adapter for this guy, but I think there's something wrong with it, and I think that was actually marked on the board when I got it, is that it had some sort of issue, probably with this controller here, or maybe the clock, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if I can figure that out, but I've got plenty of parts boards and more PCBs that would work with the other version as well, so I wasn't too worried about it. This one does have more pins on the connector, this PCB does, for the lights that this version of the keyboard doesn't have, but it all works perfectly. I'll throw another escape key on there. Works, feels great, no issues with it. I'm just going to finish dusting it off, put the case back on, and you know, I mean, the rest of this, I wanted to get it just working as a baseline. The rest of this I'll get cleaned up as we go, so as I use it and stuff. But this one's just going to get plugged right into my desk over here. And here she is, plugged into the spot that she's going to be, at least for a little while, plugged into this, well, it's a KVM that goes to the PS2 down there, and then these two computers. Yeah, so I'm pretty excited about how that turned out. Definitely a method I'd recommend just to get it working initially. I started this project maybe 45 minutes ago, and I've already got a functional Model M sitting there. So when I started, it was needing to be bolt modded. A bunch of the keys didn't work, so there you go. If you don't want to deal with the bolt mod, or you don't have the tools for it or whatever, this is a cheap and easy alternative. Let me know what you think.
Journeys we are meant to take, something at the edge of space.